So that's great that you mentioned that. And for those that haven't seen our Morphogenesis panel that we just did in the webinar, we just did on January 23rd, Geraldine did an absolutely extraordinary presentation of the morphogenesis and how our thoughts, our vibrations impact the morphogenetic field. So can you just a brief summary, can you add to that is pertaining to how things will change? As you said, 2024, and people will align in groups, division will kind of slow down, and we will become more in co-creation and unity. How can we do that in reference to the morphogenetic field? How can we begin to do that? How can we really take this topic into a serious account where we become fully accountable for our actions, our thoughts, and make sure that our breath each day, not only does it have value, but we seed a new form of direction, a new form of thought process into the morphogenetic field to help the human consciousness collective evolve?
Well, first we want to understand, just for those of us that are not very familiar, the morphogenetic field is a field of, it's an intelligence, it's instruction manual that is a field in which we participate in for co-creation. And so the beautiful thing about that is that we are literally one organism on this planet. Each one of us is a fractal of infinite consciousness that is here to help create and co-create. And there's a certain mechanics and there's certain ways to utilize this incredible instrument that is the physical body. The physical body, once we master it, we have the ability of activating aspects of ourselves that transcend just this three-dimensional plane. We can access up to the 13th dimensional plane and even more than that. And it's very important that we do that. I think that's actually the future of the human race, is for the human to begin to understand their multidimensionality, the incredible intelligence, and it's kind of like this organic technology that we are, that it interacts, and everything that is occurring in this organism, in this physical body, is projecting and affecting the whole in such a powerful way. We as humans don't realize the weight that even a thought has every moment. A thought can be something fearful. A lot of things are actually happening as a result of that thought. Your thought can be unconscious, but your entire body is responding to this thought, this unconscious thought, whether you know it or not. There are chemical systems that are being activated in the body. There's energetic triggers that are occurring in the multidimensional body. And as a whole, over time, more and more unconscious thoughts take you into more and more unconscious experiences. And oftentimes, it isn't until something very drastic or sudden occurs that we begin to wake up and we're like, whoa, how did I end up here in this situation with this experience? Perhaps it's a painful experience. It usually, unfortunately, is that suffering experience that causes someone to wake up. And then they think back and really they're not even aware of how they got there. So what that means is that when we follow a series of these unconscious thoughts, unconscious behaviors, we really are not understanding the mechanics of creation. So we have to take a step back. So you asked earlier, how can we go more towards this unity consciousness? I think we have to understand the basics of what we are. This human body is a fractal of infinite consciousness, but as a whole, we are interconnected. You and I here on this panel are one. Everyone tuning into this is one. We not only that, but we are genetically and biologically interconnected by this network, which is the morphogenetic field. Just as if we were one physical body, the entire human race functions like one physical body, like as if our body. The cells in our body are working to create cells for a finger, cells for an arm. You know, they have the instruction manuals for this organism, the shape that it has to take. But the human race as well has the same kind of instruction manual. So that's really important, especially for those that are feeling isolated, alone, disconnected, separate at this time. It's important to remember that you are a part of a whole, and the creation of your being was designed like eons ago, and it's interconnected into different timelines, different dimensional planes. So many things have come together through the centuries. If we're thinking linearly, which is untrue, simultaneously in order to create who you are right now. So you are so important to this creation. And what we want to understand is that every single system in the body, especially the chakra system, which is their vortices of life force that create the fields, dimensional fields around you in which you are navigating. So everything that's inside of these chakra systems, in these vortices of creation, it projects what you're experiencing. If you are primarily in the root chakras, in fear, in survival, these are the examples of separation. And one of the most impactful things that I discovered in my early work was when I followed my emotions to the root by just simply sitting with the emotions for a moment and discovering what emotions are underneath each of those emotions. I discovered all emotions have a certain scale, and they have a root. And the roots are two roots. They are fear or love. So when we talk about separation, we're talking about fear, because and this is kind of like the design of this entire multiverse. Actually, if we go back to the book of Enoch, if we talk about the creation of life on this entire multiverse, it was the separation of that infinite consciousness from source that was curious to experience something as separate from the whole. And that separateness from the whole is what is manifested into this multiverse, which we're experiencing now as Earth in all these different dimensional layers of experience. So in the third dimensional plane, it's about creation. And in this creation, this concept of separation, in order to access creation in a three-dimensional plane, there has to be that reuniting self. That the organism has to remember itself as a whole rather as a separate. And this occurs by accessing that information in your emotional body and tracing it back to all these cyclical patterns of experiences and behaviors that you're not only experiencing in this current timeline, but you're experiencing in other timelines simultaneously. It's what you call past lives, future lives, interdimensional aspects of yourself. So all this information is in your field of energy. It's in your DNA. The DNA system is actually a holographic system. And what we call junk DNA, which is the one that doesn't write the protein to create the physical hologram, is actually where all of this other information is stored. So if you understand just that part, really think about what an incredible mechanism you are of co-creation, that every single thought is informed by the information that's already existing within you. What happens if you remove and deprogram the information that's within you, the false belief systems? You come down to a state of zero, a neutrality. And there's layers to that neutrality. It goes deeper and deeper. You deprogrammed your current lifetime, you deprogrammed your past lives, and then you can enter into the higher states of understanding. And so this is where we begin to affect even higher levels beyond the three-dimensional plane. People that have telepathic abilities, psychic abilities, telekinesis, all of these gifts are available to you. Everyone, every single human on this planet has the ability to do that. So this is what the morphogenetic field is about. This is us navigating that, understanding the constructs and the design of that, and how we affect that is every thought, every emotion, every intention, everything that you are as an expression is affecting the whole. So it's important to remember that.
That is an extraordinary statement. You are everything that you are as an expression is affecting the whole. That's it. That should be a timeless statement that should really be seeded into our morphogenetic field for eons. Because once we all understand that each of us actually has the capacity to affect the whole, and that we are not separate, then we will take more accountability for our thoughts and for our actions every single day.